Alright guys, today we are out here. The outro is actually going to be the intro for this video. We just had a great night out here trolling in Green Bay on the Fox River. You know, we've been fishing a whole bunch of bites the past week, and things have kind of been hit or miss. It's a little too early for some stuff, and water shifting around weird. But the Fox River is a great alternative if you're having some tough fishing, and if fish aren't biting during the day, night fishing is extremely effective. Today we've been night trolling. We got me, we got little Tyler in the boat, brother Tyler, and we got my dad behind the camera right now. And we're gonna put a whole bunch of walleyes on film and talk about how you guys can come out here and have a ton of success night trolling really anywhere in the spring, because it's super effective. It looks good. Just setting the first board out and we got popped. That's pretty crazy, huh? One's on the Wonder Bread Perfect 10. He's not super big. Decent walleye though. There you go. Number one. There you go. Doubled up. Might just grab that one. Two at a time. There's number one on the scatter wrap. Not a big one here, but another nice walleye for sure. 3 fish before we're set up. Can't complain about that. Not bad for the first 5 minutes of trolling. That one looks heavy. Make sure you're great. Just take your time. Gotta take your time when you're trolling in the current. That seems big, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm not gaining up.
Going way over there now. Kind of hold your rod up here. Could be. Some of them are so thick just either way. Nice fish. Oh yeah. Take them like that.
Heck yeah.
That one's 28 all day. Beauty. It's a long one. Perfect fish. Post spawner, but healthy. Alright, so the last night trolling video we posted, we had a ton of questions on basically tackle, what we're running, this and that. Line counter, extremely important. Line counters are super important so you can replicate your pattern. Another question we get asked is a lot about dive curve. How deep do you know your bait's running? Well, for most of the brand name crankbaits out there, whether it's Berkley stuff, Smithwick stuff, Rapala stuff, you can almost always find a dive curve for this stuff, right? So it's super easy, you know, if it's your first time out here, to just look that stuff up real quick, or you can buy an app. There's a lot of like Mike's Trolling Secret type books that you can find with dive curves, and it makes it super simple to basically, when you get on fish, start catching fish, to start replicating that pattern. And for the most part, in the spring, I'm running very close to bottom when I'm running this shallow water bite. If the bottom's not snaggy, like it is out here, a lot of sand, I even like bouncing that bottom a little bit. So, you know, super easy to replicate stuff. You need that line counter for sure. I like running mono, especially on my crankbait stuff, because a lot of times if those fish aren't hooked good, you need that extra give, especially when you're trolling into current like we are out here. You want that flex in the line to keep those fish pinned. And another thing that gives us a lot of flex is a very spongy rod. Trolling rods are naturally very spongy rods, and if you're gonna come out here and do this, trolling rods are super cheap, so get yourself something between 7 foot and like an 8.5, 9 feet long that has a lot of flex to it, because you want that rod very loaded up, and there's no pumping the fish when you're reeling it in. This fish automatically hook themselves in the boards, and all you're doing is just slow reeling in, and you want that drag to just barely be able to give when those fish are on there. So it's a very soft fight. It's very different than fighting them on a jig rod or something like that, and that's kind of the setup we're using. On the down rod, a lot of times if you're Fire tag or flicker shad. A lot of times you can run one real tight to the boat just on a down rod and a lot quicker diving bait like a flicker shad or a flicker minnow. You know, we got shallow running stick baits on all these, and then we're just running this, I can just hand land this one. Just running the deeper diving crank right here behind the boat. Not a giant, but he got it good. He ate it. Hooked up on another one. How's he feel?
Not bad.
Real decent one. Keep him coming. Got him. There's a hefty one, huh? Big mouth on him. Take those. He's angry. Look at that one. That is a long fish. Beauty. Alright, so where do you start when you're doing this kind of night trolling pattern? Well, generally, no matter what lake or river system we're on, we're looking for a lot of big shoreline related flats typically. And the easiest way to find this is generally starting with your hummingbird. So a lot of times I'll kind of turn my GoPro on here so you guys can see it, but one feature I use a ton that I don't really talk about as much is your depth highlight feature. So basically what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna come over to my hummingbird, I'm gonna go menu, menu, I'm gonna come down to depth shallow water highlight, because most of these flats are shallow water that we're fishing. I would say less than 8 feet of water. So I'm gonna turn my shallow water highlight up to 8 feet here. And what that's gonna give me, it's gonna highlight every shallow flat. So now you can see I have a very concise deep channel here, and this flat is very flat. It is all red, so that's all 8 feet and less. Now another thing I'll do a lot of times is I have a secondary highlight on my hummingbird, which will show up in green, and I'll mark that as the break. So I know that kind of my outside board right next to that break, or I know if I'm getting too close to that green, I gotta come back in. So I'll go back to menu, go menu, menu, come down here on the hummingbird. Now I'm gonna go depth highlight range, that's already set at 2. So I'm gonna set my depth highlight at 10 feet, and this is going to highlight everything in green between 8 and 12 feet of water. So now what you're going to see here is this is the main river channel, these are the big flats in which I want to fish, and you can see how tight that break is right there. And that does a couple of things for me. If you zoom in here, you can see it's a real tight wall out to deep water, big 8-foot flat. And what it shows me when I have that super steep break is that the fish are almost blocked in. If they're going to be shallow, they're not going to be 20 more feet that way. So that what it does, it lets me know that I got to stay in the red and that I have a very tight wall, and those fish are not going to be past that. So use those hummingbird highlights, and it's going to be a lot easier for you guys to come out here, get on some of these big flats, and catch fish all night. Hooked up on the down rod. They're eating that thing, aren't they? Look at that, another fish right there. Fish right here. Nice chunker. Tyler's got another one going here. Mayhem. Oh, look at that, tripled up. Another fish right here. Here, I'll manage this one. You try to free that net up. This one feels pretty good though. Tripled up. Fast action. Just hold them right there. That one was on the all green suspending rogue. Tyler, how's your feel?
That one looks better than these right here.
Tyler's is a little bit bigger. There we go. There's a decent one there going back. Another one coming in on a scatter minnow. Nice one there, about 22, 23. They are biting now.
We got 1, 2, 3. There was just 4 fish. Boom, boom, boom.
4 in a row.
Yeah, so we got 4 lines on the line.
You know, we made our first pass and it was kind of average. And a lot of times these fish just don't like hitting crankbaits too much during the day. Oh, another nice one there, not a giant, but as fast as you can catch them pretty much. Hooked up on another one.
There.
Decent one.
A good one.
take them. Off in the net too. Another nice Green Bay walleye. Catching them. Doubled up. 2 on. Nice fish, Tyler. Got him. One's on the scatter wrap, about a 24, 25 incher. Looks like another decent one. Here's number 2 of the double coming in. Not a giant one, but a nice one. Boat flip them. One after another. Another nice double. Lots of fish tonight. Alright, another thing, I said it in the last night trolling video we did, but it's super important to have board lights on. You basically, number 1, you can't even tell if you have a bite, and number 2, other boats can't see you. So I linked these in the last video I did, and I'll go ahead and link them again. But basically all these are, they're called T-lights. I'll link the Amazon link that I use. Basically you turn them off just by unscrewing them, turn them on, and all you do is get like the 3M like 1 inch, they're just like little Velcro pads. One on the planer board, one on here, so you can take them off when you're not using them, stick them on, and they do not come off when you're trolling. So super easy to do. I go ahead and I put some like reflective tape on there so you can also see the tattletales at night too. But super simple to use, and it's basically the only way you can really effectively night troll is by using these.